Mr. Zekin
Yep.
has a very interesting feature for us today.
It's debatable.
And it's on test dummies, kind of like us here on the N-Wheel Time Car
No,
Talk.
we should have worn those little symbols on our foreheads.
Target
Well, there you
things,
go.
yeah.
Crash Test Dummies began in 1940. They were developed by the U.S. Air Force and used testing aircraft ejection seats. The first dummy was created by Sierra Engineering Company, Alderson Research Laboratories, named after the founder, Sam Alderson. The humanoid invention, Conrad, was aptly dubbed Sierra Sam. The first crash test dummies were done on unoccupied vehicles. This usually involved the driver jumping out of a moving vehicle before the collision, Mike, just like your reviews. Eventually, cadavers were used to allow researchers to see how crashes affected a human body.
Cadavers.
But dead bodies, of course, do not react the same way a living one, breathing one does, for that
Donate
matter.
my body to science.
Things were further complicated when testing progressed to include survivability, something that clearly could not be measured on a cadaver. Researchers eventually moved to using animal subjects, including primates and bears. The most commonly used animal was a pig because of the fact that it had the same thoracic and abdominal organs as a human. While testing on living creatures provided new insight, the significant differences between a man and an animal prevented researchers from gaining practical crash test data. Better solutions were needed, Conrad. In 1968, Alderson debuted the first crash test dummy designed specifically for automotive testing. It was known as the VIP, short for Vehicular Impact Personnel, consisting of steeled rib cage, articulating joints, which you've had several of those, David, flexible neck and cavities to hold instrumentation. It was designed to mimic the acceleration and weight distribution properties of an average male, according to the American Physical Society. The VIP series, which again we know as the Vehicular Impact Personnel, expanded to include crash test dummies that represented large males and average-sized females. It goes on that in 1971, GM actually did most of the...
Boy, that was politically incorrect. Average-sized females.
Well, that's the way it is tested. So GM solved this before close of the decade with in the induction of the Hybrid 3. Not only was the most human-like crash test dummy ever made, it contained 41 different sensor channels of information. The Hybrid 2 had just 8, so they vastly improved it. Originally developed to replicate the average male, the Hybrid 3 line was expanded in the 80s to include large male and small female dummies. Child models were introduced in 1994.
And now they're used in an iPhone commercial as they roll that car and the iPhone says, "Oh, you've had a crash."
Yep. And why did this roll into a car review?
Well, that's Mars's car review. 8 minutes wasn't long enough.
Oh,
so
man.
we're going to do it again.
Wasn't paying attention.